World War II was the deadliest conflict in human history, a global struggle that reshaped the world forever. To understand how it happened, we must look back to the end of the First Great War. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 imposed harsh reparations on Germany, fueling economic instability and a deep-seated sense of national humiliation. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party exploited this resentment, rising to power in 1933 with promises of national restoration and territorial expansion. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war, marking the official start of the conflict in Europe. Germany employed blitzkrieg, or lightning war, a fast-moving tactical doctrine that quickly overwhelmed European defenses. By the summer of 1940, France had fallen, and the British were forced into a desperate evacuation from the beaches of Dunkirk. The Battle of Britain followed as the Royal Air Force defended the United Kingdom from the Luftwaffe, marking Hitler's first major strategic defeat. Despite the relentless bombing of London, the British resolve remained unbroken, preventing a full-scale German invasion. In June 1941, Hitler broke his pact with Stalin and launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in history, opening the bloody Eastern Front. Across the world, on December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, bringing the United States into the war. By 1942, the conflict was truly global. The Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, seemed unstoppable, but the tide was about to turn. At the Battle of Midway in June 1942, the U.S. Navy crippled the Japanese fleet, halting their expansion and shifting the balance of power. In the East, the Battle of Stalingrad became the bloodiest urban conflict in history, ending in a catastrophic defeat for the German Sixth Army. In North Africa, Allied forces defeated the Afrika Korps at El Alamein, securing vital oil fields and paving the way for the invasion of Italy. Amidst the combat, the Nazi regime carried out the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others. The scale of human suffering was unprecedented. It wasn't just soldiers, civilians bore the brunt of the devastation. On the home front, millions of women joined the workforce to sustain the massive industrial machine required to win the war. The cost was staggering, tens of millions dead, cities leveled, and an economic toll exceeding $1 trillion. By 1944, the Allies were ready to reclaim Western Europe. Operation Overlord was the most ambitious amphibious landing ever attempted. On June 6, D-Day, Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, establishing a vital foothold in France. The liberation of Paris followed in August, signaling the beginning of the end for the German occupation. Hitler's final gamble, the Battle of the Bulge, failed to stop the Allied advance, leaving the German army exhausted. In April 1945, the Soviet Red Army surrounded Berlin. Hitler committed suicide, and Germany signed an unconditional surrender on May 7th. Victory in Europe was achieved, but the war in the Pacific continued with brutal intensity. American forces engaged in a grueling island-hopping campaign, capturing strategic points like Iwo Jima and Okinawa. The Battle of Okinawa was one of the costliest in the Pacific, highlighting the high price of a potential invasion of Japan. To bring the war to a swift conclusion, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. On September 2, 1945, Japan formally surrendered, bringing World War II to a definitive close. The world celebrated the end of the nightmare, but the work of rebuilding was just beginning. The post-war world was fundamentally different. Two new superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. The United Nations was established in 1945 with the goal of preventing such a global catastrophe from ever happening again. However, the alliance that won the war quickly fractured, leading to decades of geopolitical tension known as the Cold War. The war also accelerated technological progress, from jet engines and radar to life-saving advancements in medicine like penicillin. Through the Marshall Plan, Europe was rebuilt, fostering a new era of cooperation that eventually led to the European Union. The moral lessons of World War II about the dangers of extremism and the importance of international cooperation remain as vital as ever. We remember the millions who served and the millions more who lost their lives, ensuring their sacrifice is never forgotten. From the maps of nations to the laws of human rights, our modern world was forged in the fire of this global conflict. Science was forever changed as the secrets of the atom were unlocked and the foundations of the digital age were laid. The war also planted the seeds for social change, challenging colonial rule and fueling movements for civil rights across the globe. Artists and writers would spend decades processing the trauma, creating a legacy of culture that seeks to understand the darkness of those years. World War II was a defining moment for humanity. By studying it, we better understand who we are and the world we share today. Lest we forget the cost of freedom and the resilience of the human spirit. Thank you for watching this educational overview of the Second World War.